Hello, my name is Gloria Mastro, and I have lived in North Reading for quite some time, 50 years or so. And today, my purpose for this program is to talk about disaster planning for the elderly or anybody who needs to do it. Earlier this year, there was a meeting at the town hall, and there was representatives from FEMA and representatives from MEMA and people from the town that spoke about North Reading Mitigation Plan Survey. Now that sounds pretty horrendous, but there was a survey that was presented online, and 154 people, I think, answered the survey, and they base their assistance according to the survey. Now, I myself would not have been happy with 154 people responding. I would have sent out the survey again, and I would have made it more readily available. You could go to I have a number here where you could call and they could mail you the survey. I think anyway, the survey wanted to know what any kind of disaster you had experienced, and whether it was a flood, a hurricane, a tornado, any of those things, and what did you do. And anyway, there are ideas for the elderly, and I'm concerned about the elderly because I'm there myself. But the thing is that with the elderly, we read everywhere that you need to tell them what to prepare or how to prepare so that they're ready at a moment's notice. And if suddenly there is a flood, you lose your electricity at home, you're going to have to go to some sort of shelter, either your daughter, your son, someplace. And if you don't have family locally, then you can go to the bachelor school. That is where you go in the event of a disaster. And it is the hope that the town will provide generators for all the public buildings so that if we lose power, then there'll be several places to go. All of the schools have defibrillators, they have generators, and so they're ready to receive the people. What is recommended is that at your back door, or near the door, your exit door, you have a bag of some kind. And it could be a grip, it could be on wheels, could be whatever. And in there, in that bag, by the back door, you have at least a week's supply of your medication. Now, if you are taking medication, if it's necessary for you to have medication, then you have your dispenser that is prepared if you take medications in the morning or if you take them at night. Your dispenser is ready. And they recommend that in the bag you have a week's supply, but you can bring them all. And this is where I keep all my medication. It's in this little bag. So I would just grab all of this because the prescriptions are on the bottles, and I'm not going to run out. And should I run out, then they can take the prescription to the pharmacy and have it refilled. Now, whatever you need, I don't need a pill crusher, but if you need one, you can take it along with you. And this, I never use it, but it's a timer. It's an alarm, and it goes off to remind you it's time to take your pill. So you could bring that. And then this here is just for daytime. And every day of the week is marked off. And it's also in Braille. So, and this here is another double header. Your pill crusher. Then you need your toothbrush, your toothpaste, floss, whatever. And then it's recommended that you could bring a flashlight. And if you bring a flashlight, you're going to need an assortment of batteries. If you have a hearing aid, you want to be sure that you have hearing aids in case your hearing aid runs out. If you have a cell phone, I mean, there will be power wherever you go, so you bring the charger for your cell phone. And some of these things you would put in the bag and just leave them there. I brought this little Easter wreath because we've had such a horrendous winter that I just wanted you to know that spring is coming. But with the spring, we may possibly have floods. And you want to bring a notepad, something to keep a few notes on, a pen, and your address book. So if you have to call anybody, you can. And this here is the planning for disaster and avoiding future risks. Now, one thing that I do recommend that you have, along with all these other things, is the File of Life. Now, the File of Life is available at the senior center and at the fire station. And I think everybody should have 2 files of life. And in the file is written all your information, your telephone number, the medications that you take, who your doctor is, what blood type you are, and how often you take the medication. And the reason you should have these is at home, you keep it, see it has a little magnet in the back, you put it on the refrigerator or something metal, and the firemen are trained all over that when they come into your house, if there's an ambulance call or something, they look on your refrigerator and they pick up the File of Life and they take it off the refrigerator, and if you have to go to the hospital, they bring it with them, and they present it at the triage so that your admission can go a little faster. Because you may be unconscious, you may not be able to tell them what your pills are, your family may not be readily available, and this here, keep it on the refrigerator, but also have a duplicate in your pocket, if you're a man, in your purse, if you're a woman, and so that you have it with you all the time. Okay. Now, the other things that I did want to mention is there's so much literature out there as to what you should do and not do, how you should be prepared. And you don't have to bring any food. They'll feed you. There will be food available. There will be drinks available. And when you get to your shelter, if it's with your family, you're golden. But if you have to go to the bachelor school or any other place in town, then somebody will be there and you'll get written up on the chart as to what you need and so forth. And if you need assist to leave your home to get to the shelter, the fire department will be available. The senior van will be available. You'll get there. They'll get you there safely. All right. Now, some of the other things, I mean, you can't read enough. This here, it says the health department encourages preparedness, and that's from the transcript. And I do read a lot, but you can never have too much information. Then this bag, if a month goes by and there's no disaster and you don't have to leave your home, then you go in the bag and you take out the pills that you prepared for a week. and you put them back into the containers, and then you put a fresh batch in here so that your medication is always fresh. All right. I think I can give you the number if you're interested in calling for the hazard mitigation plan. You contact Mike Soraghan, and he is in North Reading, and that's 978-357-5226. And they'll send you a survey, and you can fill it out. You know, whenever there's anything presented in town, you should be proactive and get yourself involved. Read about it or go online, which I don't, because I don't have a line to go on. But you want, you know, that's how, if you go to the selectmen, if something is going on and you want to give your 2 cents worth, because it's important. It's important that they do what you elected them to do. I believe that the fire chief will be talking about their job, and so will the police chief. So thank you for your time. Have a good day. Hello, I'm back again with a few guests. The last time, if you remember, I spoke to you about preparedness with your medications and anything, you know, along that line. However, what I neglected to say is, besides your medicine, you have to bring some clothes. I mean, they suggest that you bring, you know, a couple changes, 2 or 3 changes. You don't have to bring your whole wardrobe because there won't be much storage space. So I did want to emphasize that. You might want a little separate hamper to put the dirty clothes in. Anyway, whatever you need, if you haven't brought it, don't worry about it. It will be provided for you. Now, to complete the program on emergency preparedness, we have I called him Lieutenant Galvin, but he is Mr. Galvin from the fire chief's department, fire department, and then Sergeant Howe from the police department. And they're going to brief you on what these 2 departments encourage you to do in order to be better prepared. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gloria. One of the things we like to remind people to bring in for disaster preparedness is their file for life to go along with their medication. In case there was ever a chance where they had to go to the hospital, their file of life would be there. And the most important thing to do with that, we've given out many, and a lot of the elderly forget to fill them out. You have to put your medications down and also make note of any changes. So we recommend you bring your file of life. Also have a communications plan ready to go with your other family members, so they will be able to locate you if you did evacuate to an emergency shelter or if you evacuated prior to the storm. Another thing you could bring, we recommend to bring, is a battery pack. They have battery packs now that you can charge your cell phone from, and that's a good idea to purchase one of them. You can get several charges out of the battery pack for your cell phone and keep that going a little bit longer so your family members can get a hold of you. If sometimes in an emergency or a storm, people choose to shelter in place and they use generators. A little bit on generator safety. We had an incident in town here where a generator was being run. They have to be run, should be away from the home and away from any air intakes. We had a generator running in a breezeway one time, and the carbon monoxide, which is colorless and odorless, you're not gonna be able to detect it unless you have a carbon monoxide detector. Their detector went off, and we were there and shut the generator down and moved it to a safe area. But it's important to make sure that your carbon monoxide detectors and your smoke detectors are always working. It's in a situation like in an emergency where you're having to run a generator. Here's a prime example of how carbon monoxide enters a house without people knowing it. Also, to have brush up on your escape plan. So if there was a fire, whether you're at a shelter or at your home, you have 2 ways out and no 2 ways out. And that's about it from the fire department standpoint.
Okay, thank you, Barry. From the police standpoint, we're going to talk about a little bit some stuff that you can do before, like Gloria said, the preparedness for the emergency is one of the systems we have out now is called Code Red, which is kind of like a reverse 911. The residents of the town can sign up for that, and they'll be notified via their phone or cell phone. Applications for this can be gotten through either the town hall's website, the police department's website, and I'm sure Mary from the senior center could also help people get this information out. And in an emergency, we would utilize this to let people know what is going on, what they should do, and we would also coordinate that with the fire department and other agencies throughout the town government. So that's one thing to be done. Social media is also very big and will help us with getting messages out during a time of emergency. The North Reading Police have their own Facebook page, Twitter account. The town has its own website. So these things are something that could be accessible if you have a smartphone or computer access. And another thing for people to be thinking about is pets. What you would do if you have a pet. Are you able to take the pet with you to the shelter, or are you going to shelter in place with this pet? If you are not able to, we potentially may have animal control available that may be able to come and take the pet and house it in the town's dog shelter, but that is not going to be a guarantee. So that's something you're going to want to at least try to make some plans on if you have a pet. And that's pretty much from the police department. One other thing is we would also recommend that during a time of an emergency, if you have something electrical, you would contact Reading Light. Don't necessarily call the police department or 911 if it's not an emergency, like something's on fire or there's an actual problem. If it's just a power outage, make sure that you contact Reading Light. They're the ones that are going to be dealing with that. And just try to contact the most appropriate agency for what you have going on at that time.
I did bring my phone book. I try to carry it with me all the time. And the Code Red number, I have it if you want to give it out.
Okay, sure. You can go ahead, Gloria. Thank you.
It's 866-419-5000. So 866-419-5000. Just call that number and follow the directions that they give you on the line. Okay, well, thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, call any one of us. We'll be glad to help you out in any way we can. Have a great day.